Hello, friends. Welcome to the Juicebox Podcast. From my family to yours, I want to wish you a happy holiday.
My name is Catherine. I am currently in Bermuda. I've lived here now for 19 years. I have two sons. My son, Max, who is 16, who has type 1 diabetes, and his younger brother, who is 14, who does not.
If this is your first time listening to the Juicebox Podcast and you'd like to hear more, download Apple Podcasts or Spotify, really any audio app at all. Look for the Juicebox Podcast and follow or subscribe. We put out new content every day that you'll enjoy. Want to learn more about your diabetes management? Go to juiceboxpodcast.com up in the menu and look for Bold Beginnings, the Diabetes Pro Tip series, and much more. This podcast is full of collections and series of information that will help you to live better with insulin. While you're listening, please remember that nothing you hear on the Juicebox Podcast should be considered advice, medical or otherwise. Always consult a physician before making any changes to your healthcare plan or becoming bold with insulin. I'm having an on-body vibe alert. This episode of the Juicebox Podcast is sponsored by Eversense 365, the only one-year wear CGM. That's one insertion and one CGM a year. One CGM, 1 year. Not every 10 or 14 days. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. Today's episode is also sponsored by Touched by Type 1. Go check them out right now on Facebook, Instagram, and of course at touchedbytype1.org. Check out that programs tab when you get to the website to see all the great things that they're doing for people living with type 1 diabetes. Touchedbytype1.org. The podcast is also sponsored today by the Tandem Mobi system, which is powered by Tandem's newest algorithm, Control-IQ Plus technology. Tandem Mobi has a predictive algorithm that helps prevent highs and lows and is now available for ages 2 and up. Learn more and get started today at tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox.
My name is Catherine. I am currently in Bermuda. I've lived here now for 19 years. I have two sons. My son, Max, who is 16, who has type 1 diabetes, and his younger brother, who is 14, who does not.
Okay. Max is 16. He has type 1. How old are you?
I am 49.
49. And you live in Bermuda.
I do.
And for the last 29 minutes, you and I have been trying to get set up to do this.
Yes.
And whether we used your laptop or your phone or even calling from a home phone through like Zoom's number, you were getting an echo while you were talking. So,
yes.
So that everybody knows, I then went to my provider, my podcast provider. This is probably a backroom thing you guys don't really know or care about, but I employ a company to host the podcast, and then they distribute it to whatever app you're listening on right now.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're listening on my website through the little player, it's all through this great company called Libsyn. And they offer something called Connect, where people who don't have Zoom or something like that can record and make a podcast. So I don't know how this is going to sound. I don't know anything. I apologize ahead of time if you don't like it. If you love it, check out Zoom or check out Libsyn. But Catherine, let's start, because it's freaking me out a little because I can't hear myself in my ears, which I usually can do, but I'm just going to live with that. Like, I know that sounds strange, but I can usually hear myself while I'm talking.
Okay.
But I need my headphones on to talk to you.
Yeah.
Feels like I'm underwater right now.
Oh no, I'm so sorry.
Don't be sorry. It's strange, but I'll be okay. So, how old was Max when he was diagnosed?
He was diagnosed when he was 15 years old.
This is recently.
It is. It's been a whirlwind of a year with it. He was actually away on a band trip with his school over to University of North Carolina, Greensboro. And it's one of those types of trips where, you know, the chaperone, or if you're local, your parent drops you off. and you're on your own. Basically, you've got resident advisors. It's very much like introduction to university or college life, where, you're responsible for choosing your own meals at the cafeteria. You're responsible for getting to practice. And so this is the second time he's done this camp. And he did what every teenage boy does, is he lived on pizza and soda for a week.
I thought you were going to say you found a girl, but okay.
No. We wish. We wish he could talk to girls, but he's quite the introvert. He lived on pizza and soda for a week. And then on the final night of the camp, there's always a concert. And the chaperone that took the children from Bermuda noticed that Max got up from the concert in the middle of it and left. And thought that was very, very odd. And then all the next day coming home, he noticed that he kept going to the bathroom consistently, even during the flight. And we have a high rate of type 2 diabetes in Bermuda. So he was fairly aware of some of the signs and signals. And he pulled me aside at the airport and said, please just keep an eye. Something's going on. And we got home and we figured, well, maybe he's just tired. We're not sure what's going on. You expect your 15-year-old to be able to communicate to you if there's an issue. Yeah. Of course he doesn't. And it turns out that it's like 11 o'clock at night on that same day when he flew back. And we were getting my house ready for my parents from Canada to come stay with us for my nephew's wedding that week. And all of a sudden, he's rushing into the bathroom urgently. And at this point, we've realized this is absolutely just not normal.
Can I ask a question? Did you just do a zipper before rushing into the bathroom as a sound effect? Because that was awesome if that's what you did.
No. I actually just undid my hoodie, so that's quite weird.
Oh my God. I was like, if you all are going to start doing sound effects for me, I mean, that's really another level.
I'm definitely not that good.
You're like, he rushed into the bathroom, zip, and I was like, get out of here. Am I going to hear water next?
No.
Okay. All right, go ahead.
So he rushes into the bathroom, and at that point, I've realized that this is not normal, and I am a registered nurse myself. So I said, okay, we are going to the hospital because at this point, something is definitely going on. You either have a UTI, which is very rare in males, or you most likely have diabetes.
Something's up.
Something's up. Like the nurse, case manager, risk manager, and me, like my brain is like already going through the diagnosis tree even before we've left the house. So thankfully, Bermuda is very small. We're only 21 miles by 1.5 miles long. So, and our hospital is centrally located in the middle of the island. So it's really, we only have one hospital. It's not that far from us. So it's about a 5-minute drive. So we get into the hospital and it's like 11:30 at night. And there's thankfully on a Saturday night, no one in the emergency room at all. It's completely empty. And so he gets triaged and the nurse does a blood sugar and it reads off as high. So automatically we go into the back room, they draw some proper lab work to send to the lab, and they come back and say that his blood sugars are 679, but he was not in ketoacidosis.
Okay, well, good.
Which was very, very good. And his hemoglobin A1C upon entry was 10.3.
It had been going on for a little bit.
It was. And, when I look back at it as a nurse, I should have picked up on some of the signs because his grades had started to slip in the last term of the school year. So he had been sick in the Christmas prior to it with the virus, not COVID. And then his grades started to slip. But I figured he's a 15-year-old boy who happens to have ADHD. And obviously, there are just courses he doesn't really want to focus on. So I was more thinking, oh, this is just 15-year-old boy. Wasn't thinking much more about it in terms of that. But then when I looked back in hindsight, about the month before he went away to camp, my husband and I had noticed that repeatedly around midnight, one of our children would be getting up and going to the bathroom, which was a new thing. And that was just an unusual item. That led us up to there. So I wasn't completely shocked when I looked at all the signs in hindsight that I just hadn't put together.
Your accent is so crazy. Is it Canadian
Yes.
via Bermuda?
Yes.
Is that what it is?
Yeah. So I'm actually originally from Canada, born and raised. And then I lived in Boston for a few years as a nurse.
There it is.
And then I came to Bermuda. So it's definitely a little merge of different areas.
It's very unique. It is very unique.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What got you guys to Bermuda? Like, I mean, besides, were you just like, why don't we go live in the sun? That's a better idea, or no?
No. My husband was Bermudian, and he owned a company with his brother. So it was just easier for me to relocate as a nurse here than it was for him to come to the U.S. where I was working at the time, because there was no way he was going to get a visa to work in the U.S. in his field. So we just thought it was easier for me to relocate here. And oddly enough, one of my sisters had married a Bermudian and was living here already as well with her husband and family.
Hold on. What, are your parents farming you guys out overseas or something? What's going on exactly?
No. We still have one left in Canada. But yeah, it's just very, very odd that we both randomly met Bermudians and married them. So
that's really crazy.
Yeah.
How long have you been there?
I've been here 19 years.
You live what we all assume is our dream, but is it a dream living on an island in a warm place or not really?
We do get a little cool during winter, so it gets like a dampness cool with it. If you're coming from overseas, you still think the weather is beautiful, but if you live here locally, the first year you think, oh, this winter's nothing. Every other year you're like, oh, this is cold. I need to find my hat. Like, it's chilly out. We need a sweater. So
there's no feeling of like you're missing something or the weather's too similar to the rest of the day or anything like that?
Not really. Bermudians are known to travel, so it's not unusual. Like if you're missing like the snow at Christmas, that a lot of people will just travel if they're missing that. So we do have somewhat of seasons where it gets wet and cooler during the winter, but we never have snow. And honestly, it's like, everyone's like, life's a beach, but we just get along our lives like anyone else does in a small community.
Got it.
You raise your children, you go to work, and it just happens that a lot of our activities outside of that surround, either boating or beach or, our natural area here. We spend a lot of time on the water here. Yeah. So
if you go on a school trip, you get to go to North Carolina.
Exactly.
Interesting. Well, it's really cool.
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that with me.
Yeah.
He gets diagnosed here and sounds like you had a little bit of guilt, but like, did that stick with you or are you okay with that?
A little bit of guilt. It did stick with me for a little while. But I did get over it when I realized that, unfortunately, as nurses, a lot of times we are trained for hospital-based items, which means you're being trained for the classic symptoms that are going to come through the door. So, in working with our diabetic educator, who I adore, I definitely got over that guilt because there were so many signs that could have been attributed to other things.
I'm glad. I'll tell you why I asked, because I thought it was amazing. Teacher sees him go off to the bathroom, mentions something to you, you get him home, take him right to the hospital. It sounded seamless to me.
It sounded like it was really seamless, but when I looked in retrospect, we were like, okay. The time, because we know this is an autoimmune disorder. So we started to look back, and that's when I started to pick up some of these things that were explainable by other items as well.
Other autoimmune in the family?
No.
You don't have celiac, you don't have thyroid, nothing like that's happening?
Nothing. So,
okay. All right.
His grandfather had type 2 diabetes. His father was a BRCA2 carrier, but there's no link between that and diabetes at all. So we have no idea.
His father is his father passed?
Yeah, his father passed this summer.
Oh my gosh, Catherine, were you married still?
Yes.
Oh my God. Are you okay? What happened? This episode is sponsored by Tandem Diabetes Care. And today I'm going to tell you about Tandem's newest pump and algorithm. The Tandem Mobi system with Control-IQ Plus technology features auto bolus, which can cover missed meal boluses and help prevent hyperglycemia. It has a dedicated sleep activity setting and is controlled from your personal iPhone. Tandem will help you to check your benefits today through my link, tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox. This is going to help you to get started with Tandem's smallest pump yet, that's powered by its best algorithm ever. Control IQ Plus technology helps to keep blood sugars in range by predicting glucose levels 30 minutes ahead, and it adjusts insulin accordingly. You can wear the Tandem Mobi in a number of ways. Wear it on body with a patch-like adhesive sleeve that is sold separately, clip it discreetly to your clothing, or slip it into your pocket. Head now to my link, tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox to check out your benefits and get started today. Today's episode is sponsored by a long-term CGM that's going to help you to stay on top of your glucose readings, the Eversense 365. I'm talking, of course, about the world's first and only CGM that lasts for 1 year. 1 year, one CGM. Are you tired of those other CGMs? The ones that give you all those problems that you didn't expect? Knocking them off, false alerts, not lasting as long as they're supposed to? If you're tired of those constant frustrations, use my link, eversensecgm.com/juicebox to learn more about the Eversense 365. Some of you may be able to experience the Eversense 365 for as low as $199 for a full year. At my link, you'll find those details and can learn about eligibility. eversensecgm.com/juicebox. Check it out.
Good days, bad days. He was fine. Like, he did everything he was doing. He was a Cub Scout leader and was physically getting ready to take kids away to a camp in 2 years. That's extremely intensive physically. So he had been going to the gym. He had been losing weight, cutting back on his charcuterie, cutting back on his beers with the Cub leaders after the children leave. He was doing everything right. And then he had just had hernia surgery in May when all of his blood work was normal. Everything was showing as normal. And then all of a sudden in early June, he looks at me, comes out of the bathroom after he was shaving and says, "I think my neck is swollen." And I'm like, "Yeah, that is really swollen. We have an issue." So that actually prompted multiple doctor's appointments and CT scans and biopsies. And in Bermuda, because we are so small, we actually send our pathology for cancer-related items out to some of the best hospitals in the Boston area for their pathology team to manage it. So that way we're getting the best experts. So by the end of June, we knew that he had an aggressive form of cancer, but we didn't know what type. Like, the pathology was not being nice at all or acting normally. They were still having a lot of difficulty figuring it out. So he actually goes to Cub Camp for the week, like he always does, to spend time with these cubs. And I was already planned to be in the Boston area with my son and a few other children from Bermuda to take them to a well-renowned diabetic camp just outside of the Boston area. Mm-hmm. And I was actually volunteering there as a nurse because I figured, well, I'm in the area. They need someone in the country. I'm a nurse. I might as well volunteer, right?
Yeah.
Which was a great experience to see all these different pumps that we don't even have access to in Bermuda, by the way. Amazing. So I was supposed to be there for 2 weeks. And 1 weekend, I get the notice that he's coming up to Boston right away for some appointments. And I was supposed to just go back and forth because he was going to be okay. But after seeing him, he was admitted right away. And the pathology finally came back after 3 weeks that he had a very aggressive and rare form of neuroendocrine colon cancer.
Oh my God.
So, yeah. So
I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah,
so we spent the summer in Boston, and he unfortunately passed away just 99 days ago. Yeah.
Oh my God. As you were saying the story and you were like, June, I'm like, that's this year.
Yeah, it's very recent. So, and my children kind of bounced back and forth between Boston and Bermuda for the summer because we wanted to try and give them some sort of normalcy, but we didn't want them to feel like they weren't with their father. But at the same point, is being in a hospital is very stressful. So So they kind of bounced back and forth, and they got very familiar with certain tourist attractions in Boston. Like, we got a full membership at the Science Museum, and they went like every day.
Yeah.
So like for a few hours. Yeah.
Wow, my gosh. Oh,
yeah.
And did you make this booking before this happened?
I did.
I was just going to say, I found it's only because you said was. That's what I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked.
That's okay. No, that's fine. That's
I should have
okay.
kept my head down. I was like, no,
that's fine. So, but it actually kind of like impacts Max's story, because I will say this honestly, the food in the US is horrible. It's horrible for diabetes, especially if you are not cooking things from scratch yourself at home.
So you were having trouble with managing his type 1 while you were in Boston?
Oh my God, horrible trouble.
Oh, no kidding.
So I would go from all day being at the hospital, because as a nurse, I was my husband's translator for everything that was going on for him and managing all of that. And then I would get back to the apartment, and I'd realize that my son has decided at 9:00 at night is a great time to have a cannoli from a famous pastry shop in the North End, where you can't find online any carb details about how many carbs are in that cannoli.
Just assume a lot, I imagine.
Oh, it was a bad night. I looked at him afterwards, and I'm like, what are you going to do next time? He's like, I'm never going to have a cannoli again. I'm like, no, you can have it, but can you have it at noon?
Yeah. Well, now, if he has a baked good at home, that doesn't happen, you're saying?
It doesn't happen because we know the foods, like it's been trial and error, that we know that from this place, it's about this carb size. Like our portion sizes in Bermuda are smaller, even though a lot of our food comes from the US. We get a good portion as well from the UK. We only have one U.S. fast food restaurant here in Bermuda.
Which one is it?
KFC.
Okay.
Because we have an anti-franchise law. We used to have McDonald's, but when the U.S. forces left a few decades ago, that left with them. We do have like fast food areas, but it seems like that fast food it's not made with the same type of food or in the same way that is being processed in the U.S.
I see. So there's a KFC there, but it's really just a place that makes chicken and
potatoes. No, I mean, that is actually a proper KFC. But if I go down the road to a different fast food place for a burger and fries, those fries are definitely not like McDonald's fries.
Gotcha.
They're not like double or triple greased and everything else. You're going to see that release a lot sooner of the carbs than you would with fast food in the US.
Okay, it holds on longer here.
It really does.
Yeah.
It really does.
I'm going to try to use the words triple greased at some point in my life. I don't know where, but
I don't know.
That's awesome.
And it just seems it's like because of the layer of grease along the fast food, that obviously it takes a while for the stomach to break that down. So next thing you know, you're spiking a lot higher. It's almost the same concept as pizza. You've got to just learn how it works. When you're in a situation where you're in and out of hospitals, you're not really cooking great food. So you're letting your child eat whatever they want for the summer. So there was some very interesting times with his blood sugars this summer. Yeah.
I have to ask you, how did your children handle, your husband's passing? And how do you contextualize that for them while you're busy trying to work it out for yourself when you actually have to go back to Bermuda and be by yourself too?
So thankfully, my children already had a therapist.
Okay.
And oddly enough, when my son was first being told that he had diabetes, one of the first messages was to his therapist to say, okay, we need a session right now. So his therapist was very well aware as to what was going on with my husband, and what they did virtual sessions throughout the summer with both my children. And then when my husband passed, and they continue to see him now. It's very interesting because when you look at studies about grief and how teenagers react, there's almost like two paths that they tend to go on, where one is either very quiet and they don't really say a lot about it. almost like it never happened. And then the other one is very angry and vocal. And both my children took a different path.
Oh, awesome for you.
Yes. Yeah. So, but they are getting through with the support of they've got an amazing family support here through my husband's family and through, because my husband was a Cub Scout leader and I'm a Scout leader, through our scouting family. So they've got tremendous support in the community. And I guess that's one of the benefits of being from such a small place.
Yeah. What path did you take?
I've taken the path of keeping myself as busy as possible and just realizing that I just have to get things done because I have 2 boys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
On your note here to me, it says, I want to discuss how to deal with the stress of GCSE exams for type 1s. What do you want to talk about there?
So GCSE exams are British exams for exiting high school. They are 2-year courses that comes down to, most of the courses will have 2 exams. If it's a language, it might be 4. If it's a practical thing like shop or what we call design and tech, you might have a practical part of it. But generally, you're studying for 2 years and you have 2 exams. And that's your mark. It doesn't matter what you did through the 2 years. Those test days are your days. And if you have a bad day or a bad night with your blood sugars, we all know that you are not mentally clear for your exams. And that's it. It's like, that is the mark that you are going to get. And there's no do-overs. The best you can do is try and get a letter from your doctor to say, that can you please give some leniency because of this situation? But you have to provide that on the exact same day that the exam is taking place.
How do those exam scores impact life?
They impact where you go next in your educational career. So some schools, some universities and colleges will use those to help determine entrance into it. So most of the children in his class go on to what's called an international baccalaureate, the IB program, which is basically junior college. But the schools overseas will definitely look at their GCSE levels in terms of entrance for universities.
So it could have a really big impact on the rest of your life.
Exactly. Thankfully, if you go further on with either, your IB level, you can kind of try and make it up if you had a bad situation to show that you do have growth and you have the potential for it. But it can be very stressful because unlike the SATs, there's no rewrites.
Yeah. And so this looms over everybody when you think about this.
2 years worth of stress where children are pulling their hair out because they know the importance of doing well in these courses. And it literally comes down to 2 exams. And are you having a good day on that exam or a bad day?
What did you end up doing?
There was a couple of days where he had some really, really bad nights. And we had to get a letter from the doctor that day to say, please give leniency because it's his diabetes that's causing mental fog, and give him a little bit of leniency. But there was actually one day where his pump, because he's on an Omnipod, broke and he didn't have any spares with him.
And that was during testing?
It was during testing. It was so much fun because technically he's not allowed to have any technology on his desk. He had put his phone on silence because he wanted to be respectful of everyone else testing. Oh. And he uses a PDM rather than the app because it just tends to work better in Bermuda.
I see. And so he had a failure and he didn't know it even happened?
He didn't even know it happened. So because when the invigilators, there's always a chance that an outside invigilator from the UK is going to show up. And if they see a phone, something that looks like a phone on a desk, that's a big problem. And of course, the PDM looks like an iPhone, from a distance. So that's all sitting in the back with an invigilator who has no idea what's going on, but thankfully I'm getting notifications that his sugars are climbing and climbing and climbing. And I'm like, what is going on?
Mm-hmm. I bet you freaked out. I would have been like, are you kidding me?
Oh, it was a horrible day. So I'm contacting the main receptionist and I'm saying, okay, he's got a spare bag with him. I don't know what's going on right now, but his sugars are rising too much. Get a message to him that he needs to, give himself an additional bolus. And then I'll call back and see whether it worked. Well, that didn't work. So then I'm like, can you grab his spare pen and tell him to give himself a dose right near the site? Because we've got to figure out what's going on. Is it the site or is it the pump? So we're working through our troubleshooting with things. And that did bring it down a little bit. So we realized, okay, this is a pump issue. And he did not have any spare pumps at school.
Okay. So does he always have spare pumps now?
He probably doesn't, to be honest. Yeah, he just kind of wings it a lot of time, unfortunately, as a teenager does. He's got spare pens at school if he needs to, but oddly enough, I don't think he actually has a spare pump there or a vial.
Does he keep more at school now? No. Should he? Absolutely, yes. But my husband at the time, thankfully, because I was in crazy work mode that day. So my husband grabs some pumps, runs it down, and we're switching the pump. He's allowed to leave the room for like 2 minutes to switch the pump.
Okay.
And get back under control. But his sugars at that point, they were over 300.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, it was definitely a very, very stressful situation. So, and it was in one of the courses that he actually really, really enjoys. It was in his chemistry. So it was definitely an extremely stressful situation when you're entering those exams and you know that this is it. Like, you don't get a rewrite, you don't get an opportunity to get classwork or any of the tests you did through it the last 2 years to count. Like, this is it.
This is it, just what it is.
It is what it is. So it's an extremely stressful situation, and after that, we learned a lot because we didn't realize what we would have to do if there was an illness or a situation like that in the middle of the test. We didn't know what our rights were or anything through the testing board. So I sat down with the headmaster of the school after that happened and said, okay, now because there was definitely some communication breakdowns during it as well, because I'm handing over pretty complex medical directions to a receptionist.
Okay.
So there was a few things that we were a little lost in translation. We figured it out. We figured out a plan for moving forward that, we would just like keep things in writing as well. Max had to learn that he cannot keep his things on silent during these exams.
Okay. Yeah. Can I ask, how was his actual performance? Did it get impacted, or did it end up not being an issue for his grading, etc.?
He did pretty well on that exam. It's one of his stronger subjects. He could have done better had he not been in a high blood sugar mental fog situation, but he did well enough to get into the higher level chemistry class that he's doing through his international baccalaureate. So he did well enough to get in.
They weren't like, oh, you're going to be raking the beach.
Yeah, exactly. Because he wants to be an engineer. So he needs to like have high marks in his sciences.
Have
and
those
he's like,
successes, yeah.
Exactly. Because when he had a brain fog in a different one, it was in his language class, which he was horrible at anyway. So it's like, not as stressful because he's not going to do well.
Does he describe what that fog is like by any chance? Have you talked about it?
Yeah, he says he can't focus. It almost feels like he's swimming, like that he's like underwater swimming, like nothing is making sense or being comprehended to him. It's almost like that dream world or swimming, hearing things underwater sort of deal.
Really? what happens then? Does he push through it, or does he step back and say, "Oh, my blood sugar's high. I'm in trouble." Like, I wonder how how does that mind handle that situation? You know what I mean?
It depends on how high he was. So if he is over about, if he's around over above 300, 350, he finds it difficult to mentally remember that, oh, this is my blood sugar. I need to do something about it. But if he catches it when he's still in about that 250, low 300 range, he'll be like, this is my blood sugar. I need to make sure I dose appropriately for this.
Okay. All right. So,
yeah. So if it gets too high, he's not going to think about it. He needs intervention to help him to realize that.
Course of a regular day, what's his blood sugar like?
Much better than what it was. So when he first got diagnosed, because I'm a nurse and we have an awesome diabetic educator and awesome endocrinologist on his team, he was actually out of the hospital within 2 days, and his first hemoglobin A1C went from 10.3 down to 8.3.
Okay.
And then this past June, before he knew that his dad was sick, his hemoglobin A1C was down to 5.8.
How did his dad's illness impact his blood sugars?
It ended up going up to 6.3, which I still thought was an amazing number, given how bad the summer was with his blood sugars.
Was it just our triple greased food, or was it other things that you think impacted?
I definitely think, you've got a teenager with hormones and growth going on, and then you add in all the stress of what was going on with his dad, with his blood sugars. It's definitely made it a lot harder to control. And I was trying to explain the management of his diabetes to his aunts and uncles and grandmother to say, this is how you have to do it. And they're like, is there a list, like a prescription list? Like, if it's this, you do this. I'm like, it's an art form.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you. It's kind of like trial and error. And it's more of an art form than a science.
So when your husband's in Boston, how long has Max had diabetes for?
Just 1 year.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So
yeah.
So you were just starting to figure it out a little bit, and then now you're having to pass it off to other people who have no context for it.
They have none, because I had been managing everything with Max, and we had done really well with getting his blood sugars under control. It's like 6 months into his diagnosis, his honeymoon phase seemed to be ending, and we knew that he was going into practice exams and he was going on a ski trip for school. So we went ahead and we got him on a pump at that time.
And devices available in Bermuda are different than in America?
Yeah, so we have access to the Omnipod and to Medtronic.
670G? Or do you not know which one?
And any of the Medtronic range. We have any of them. So, but those are the only ones we have access to.
CGM?
CGMs, we have access to the Freestyle Libres, but most of them come from the Caribbean or from Canada. So it's a little interesting when you're trying to set it up on your phone. We have access to the G6 without any issues, but the G7, which I know fewer and fewer people are using, for the G7, they actually have to take your phone to the US because of the fact that it is location based when you're setting it up.
Okay. You have to take your phone to the US to set up oh geez.
Yeah, because we tried the G7 first, thinking the reviews were like, this is amazing. It's going to be great. So his aunt was going to the US. So I said, take his phone, please. Take it with you for the week. We'll download the app there. So that way, when he comes home, everything works well.
Jeez. I have to tell you, Arden's been using the G7 since it came out. And I mean, it's been good for us. We've had
You're lucky.
So I don't know how to think about that, Catherine, because I recognize that there are people who are having trouble with the device. I actually just saw somebody talking about Libre yesterday too. There's been something with that. I don't know. I wouldn't minimize anybody having trouble with it. If it was 5 people, you know what I mean? But I do wonder how many they sell versus how many they have trouble with. And I don't know. You know what I mean?
That statistic would be really interesting to know, but he was just having so many issues with it.
Yeah.
And I'd have to call Dexcom all the time and say, my son is in school in Bermuda, but I'd like you to send us our replacements. And I'd be like, to this address in the US. And they're like, and who is that we're sending this to? So it gets really interesting.
Yeah, when you're international.
Exactly. So we just found for us the G6 was a lot more stable.
So less phone calls for you.
He's never had a failure on the G6.
Yeah. So if you have fewer phone calls, you don't have to be messing with people. That's the real value for you.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's like, I did ask him once the Omnipod app was supporting the G7s again, because that was one of the main reasons we switched to the G6. I said, do you want to try the G7 again? And he's like, no, absolutely not. He's happy with the G6. He understands there's a 2-hour warm up, but he's okay with that because it means that he knows it's going to work for the 10 days.
Can't wait to see where this all goes. Seriously, because I have no idea. I want to be clear, but I wonder how much of it is the form factor, because it seems like now Libre and Dexcom are having similar issues. So I wonder if it's something to do with manufacturing or form factor or materials. I guess we'll find out eventually.
We'll find out. I mean, what we find interesting, like in Bermuda, we find most people who have type 2 diabetics are the ones using the Libres.
Okay.
But if you're a type 1, most times you are using a Dexcom product.
In the Bahamas, that's your finding.
No, in Bermuda.
In Bermuda, excuse me. What did I say? Bahamas?
That's okay. That's okay.
Because I've been to the Bahamas, and it starts with a B.
And it's lovely. I've been there as well. Yeah. So most of people around here who have type 1 diabetes use the Dexcoms, and we're such a small community that we all have those who have type 1 diabetes or who have children with type 1 diabetes. We all kind of know each other, and we do have events where, they bring in special educators, for us as well. But it's a very small community. So here.
Well, listen, if anybody wants to fly me to a warm island to do an event, please just let me know. I'm happy to do that.
Awesome.
Any warm island, honestly. I just want to be clear.
Yes.
Oh, that's really something. It's funny. I can't stop thinking about your bigger family issue. Right. Because I just, in my mind, I'm like, God, you're in Bermuda. Yes, you have your husband's extended family, right? But your family's not there.
Well, I have a sister here.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
But how often do you get back to Canada?
Not very often. Generally, maybe about once or so a year, depending on the year.
Yeah.
Just because, when you've got limited vacation time, you want to go different places. And my kids tend to love the wonderful theme parks down in Orlando and they like traveling to other places as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, you got to move. Are your parents alive?
They are.
They are. Okay. Mm-hmm. My gosh. I guess video calling and stuff makes things a little easier, right?
It definitely does. During everything that was going on with Max during the summer with my husband, I mean, he had gone from being 95% of time in range down to about 40% of time in range, where his basal to bolus was completely out of whack, where he was his basal was accounting for, as low as 10% of his total insulin dosing. All of his numbers were completely problematic, where he would normally have been using anywhere around 25 units a day through his Omnipod. All of a sudden, there was some days where most days when we were in Boston, he was using 50 units a day, and then still only being in range about 40 or 50% of the time.
No kidding. Okay.
Once we came back to Bermuda and we got settled, we sat down with our educator again, and we made some pretty drastic changes in his pump settings.
Okay. Yeah. Well, how long had he been on Omnipod 5 at that point?
So he's been on it since January.
And has he gained weight since then?
Not really.
Not even 5-10 pounds?
Maybe about 5 or 10 pounds, but I mean, he's a pretty skinny kid.
Okay.
Tall and lanky kid, teenager. So
I just think that sometimes you just got to reset the Omnipod 5. You know what I mean? 'Cause if you've had changes in activity or your weight or something like that, I just feel like it needs a change. Is that a cat, by the way?
It is. I'm so
No, don't be sorry. Like I heard you, I could audibly hear you struggling with because you're thinking I could hear it, but I couldn't tell if it was I couldn't tell if it was a kid in the distance calling you or if it was a cat.
No, it's my cat.
Okay,
I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry.
So we made some pretty drastic changes about a month ago. And since then, we lowered his goal rate because initially with the Omnipod, we didn't know how they were going to react. So they put him at a goal rate of 180. And then it got decreased to 150. So now he's at a goal rate of 110. They changed his ratio. They also changed the lasting time for the insulin because they realized it wasn't lasting as long for him as it normally would. So we made some pretty big changes with his educator just about a month ago. And all of a sudden, I'm sleeping through the night now, maybe 5 nights a week now.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we learned a lot, and by looking at the data and to try and figure out exactly what we needed to do in order to get his numbers back under control with it. But also what I've noticed, especially since his father's passing, is he's actually taken a more active role in his diabetes management.
Oh, do you think he sees that you're struggling a little and he wants to take more on, or what do you think it is?
I think it forced him to grow up a lot. He's recognized the fact that for the last year, like if he was having issues during the night, he's asleep. I'd be the one saying, okay, let's do some more insulin. Let's do a finger prick. Oh, let me go bolus you on your pump. That was all me. So I think he's realized that. So he's getting much better. We've almost come to an agreement now that if I get a low or a high alert, if I get one, I ignore it.
Okay.
Completely ignore it because I need to see whether or not he's going to manage it.
Okay.
Because I don't want to nag him, and most times he is seeing it and recognizing it with it. So, which is a good thing. So
what's the low that you wouldn't ignore? What number?
I wouldn't ignore in the 40s or lower.
Okay. So you're really going to let him see what he can get accomplished then.
Well, yeah, because I also know that based off of the time of day, he is odd in the fact that even before the pump, he would go very, very high between midnight and 3 a.m.
Okay.
So, which is not the normal phase, probably growth. Exactly. So they're relating it to growth. So, and I would know that if he went to bed with a blood sugar of 150, I know by midnight he's going to be 300.
Okay.
It's like going to happen. So a lot of times if he looks at me before bed and says, I'm 60, and I'm like, well, how many units do you have on board? And if he doesn't have very many, I'm like, ignore it, because I know what you're going to climb to because of the fact that you're a teenage boy who's growing. I know what you're going to climb to. So if you start at 60, there's a very high chance that you're not going to end up over 200.
Okay.
And so, but it's helping him to make and learn those decisions.
I see. Yeah, no, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. If he's low and he's driving, that's not, Then
you say something.
So in Bermuda, you do not get a car license until you're 18. But at 16, you can get your bike license for a 50cc bike.
Okay.
So all these kids, they have government projects, they like education courses they have to do for it. So he has a bike, and I looked at his blood sugars one day and I'm like, oh, he's 50 and he hasn't responded, and he's on his robotics program. Message him, he ignores me. Try calling him, he ignores me. And he ignores me because he was literally getting on his bike to come home at that point.
Did you talk to him about it? I'm wondering, was he thinking I'll take care of it when I get home? Was that his mindset?
Yeah. He didn't think it was such a big deal. And I said, well, here's the big deal. If you were in an accident, how would they know that you're diabetic and this was related to blood sugars? Because his emergency bracelet was left at home.
So you think he saw all that as thoughtful when you laid it out for him? Or was he like, oh, Mom, leave me alone?
Oh no, it was very like he took it on board, and I said to him, "Listen, if it ever happens again, those bike keys belong to me."
So it's an electric bike
So
or gas
no,
powered?
he actually has a gear bike.
Oh, it's pedal.
No, it's
No.
a proper like motorcycle, change the gear with your feet and like
Oh,
clutch
oh, I see.
bike. So most kids get a gas scooter, like turn and go, kind of what you see in like the little mopeds in the movies,
Yeah, yeah.
sort of deal. He wanted a gear bike that's got a clutch and a catalytic converter and like whatever that is, like all that stuff. So he wanted to go old school. So it requires you to actually think and do a lot more on that bike.
Yeah, and they
So
go pretty quickly too, right?
they can. So the new gas ones that they sell here are all what they call a 4-stroke, not a 2-stroke.
Hmm.
So they don't actually have a huge amount of power to get up hills. They're only a 50cc bike.
Okay.
Our speed limit here is 20 miles an hour.
Okay.
Like most people will go 35 miles an hour. Like it is not super fast speeds here. So, but he can manage, like his bike is a 2-stroke, so it's got enough power to get him up hills at a reasonable speed. Like he could go faster than what I let him go at. So
Gotcha. And it's safe to go all over the island. The kids do like, what'd you say, 11 miles long?
we're 21 miles long, but yeah.
20. I'm sorry. I had it in my head that it was 10
Yeah.
miles to the center because I thought about the
No.
hospital. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 21 miles long, a mile and a half wide. They can go wherever
Yeah.
they want. That's nice.
Yeah. So it's so they're on their bike. So when he gets low and I know that he's going to be on his bike, that's a whole different situation and a conversation with him. And I think that conversation, he did listen to it.
Mhm.
We'll see how things go because he's a teenage boy. So
Yeah. Well, I hear you.
sometimes his emergency bag doesn't have any emergency snacks in it. Even though
Do you look into that once in a while? Like, do you like pull the bag aside and check?
I do every so often, I pull it aside and I pull out all the garbage that's in there,
Mm-hmm.
all the old test strips and the protein bar wrappers and the gummy wrappers. And then I'm like, okay, dude, you obviously need to restock.
Yeah.
So he's okay with restocking generally, but sometimes he absolutely forgets.
What's the situation on the island? Like here, like, in New Jersey, I would say to you that Arden might never, if she's in a car, she's probably never more than a few minutes away from being able to like get something for herself. But like, is that necessarily the case there?
Oh, yeah. So we're so small. It's like, literally you might be 2 minutes away from either a pharmacy, corner store, gas station, someplace like that where you can grab something if you had to.
Do you think he feels like he's covered? So it's okay if he doesn't have stuff with him?
Exactly. So,
Yeah.
and he's got his wallet with him. But mind you, at school, we start every year by sending in like a bulk pack of protein bars and gummies just in case, something happens and he runs out.
How often do you think he needs to adjust the low blood sugar with snacks in the course of a day?
Not that often right now. When we were first getting the hang of it and learning how his body reacted, definitely there'd be like 3 or 4 times a day. But now he might need a low recovery, maybe 2 times a week,
Oh,
maybe.
Sounds like he's doing
So
well.
yeah, he is doing really well with it. So
Yeah. Good for you. That's
Mhm.
nice. That must feel good that he's got a grasp of it and he's getting better and better as time goes on.
he is. And it really depends on what he's doing. Like he's getting ready right now to go camping for the weekend for a practice journey for his Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award, which is a massive camping trip he's got to do in the summer where he'll be hiking in the Appalachians.
Is this for scouts?
No, this is for another organization that's British based called the Duke of Edinburgh.
Yeah, when you said that, I did not know
or
what that
Duke of
was.
E.
Okay.
No. So it's an award that encompasses dedication to learning as well as to an adventurous journey, as they call it. So they have to do charitable work. They have to do physical recreation. They have to learn a skill, be it like robotics or music or whatever they choose, for a hobby. but they have to show that they're working on it every week for so many weeks. And then they have to do an adventurous journey where literally everything that they need is carried on their back between them and their teammates.
That's awesome.
And they will hike for, depending on the level, however many days you actually have to hike for. So he's in the last level, which means that when he goes away this summer for his official journey with it, he has 5 days of hiking in the Appalachians. So we're actually in communication with the host group that's managing this in the Philadelphia area to say, okay, now how do we manage insulin during this time?
Right. And extra supplies and low blood sugars and probably no cell service and a lot of other things, right?
Exactly. Like, how are we going to manage this? So recently I've bought I think almost every device on Amazon.
Sorry.
About how to keep insulin cold.
Oh, is it going to be in the summer months? Is it going to be hot?
It is. It's going to be hot.
Yeah. What'd you land on? What are you going to use?
Haven't decided yet. We're still testing them. So we started with I'll say the name, the ViviCap.
Okay.
Yeah, threw that one out.
You didn't like that?
No, that one didn't do it for us. And now we've got another container that has an ice pack that goes in it, but then you can plug it in to a battery bank, and it's got a separate fan that will also keep it cool.
Have you looked at the Frio bags?
We've tried those. We're not in love with those. We found we couldn't get them cool enough.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a situation where you're trying to actually keep it like refrigerator level, or if you're just trying to keep the heat and the heat off of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we tried those in the past. We weren't in love with those. So this weekend, he has a different one that's got some for camp that has some gel ice packs that will go in it. It actually has a digital temperature gauge on the outside of it to tell him what it is. So, and I said, and I don't expect him to need to change his pod at all this weekend because he'll change it on Friday before he goes. He's back on Sunday. He should be fine. But I'm more curious to see, how does this work? And is it going to work well for him?
I would also, listen, I don't know, people might be mad at me for saying this. I have no idea.
Yeah.
We'll find out in a second. But actually, we won't find out for months. But nevertheless, I mean, it's only a week-long trip, right?
Yeah.
And I think as long as you can keep that insulin from going into the 80s and 90s
exactly.
and staying, who cares? Like, even if when you get it home, you just, I'm sure it'll be fine.
You throw it out. Oh, I have thrown out so much insulin over the past few months because of, it didn't stay cold enough in flight. It had gone through too many temperature shifts. And
I got to tell you.
We would notice it's like, the insulin's bad. It's not working.
Yeah.
Chuck it, new vials. Yeah.
Yeah, Catherine, I'll tell you, if insulin works, it works. I'm good with it.
Yeah. Yeah.
If it gets exposed to something and then suddenly doesn't work, then okay, I'm happy to get rid of it.
Yeah.
But if it gets warm, I don't Arden took a vial with her. She doesn't travel with insulin a ton, right? But she took a vial with her for something last week. And I think it sat now it's cooler here now, right? So it's probably not going over 50 degrees during the day. But it sat in her car. It was in a bag. It was, a number of different places. And it came home and I never thought get rid of it. We just kept using it and it was fine.
Oh, no. We realized when we would put some insulin in and we're like, okay, you're not reacting.
It's just not working at all.
Okay. It's not working at all. It's the insulin. Check it out. It's traveled a little too much for us.
Mm-hmm. So will he travel? Yeah. Will he travel with backup injectable? Would he even know what to do?
He always does. So whenever he travels, he has a letter from his diabetic educator and his pediatrician, just in case there's any issues at security. Leaving Bermuda, there's only 2 ways off the island. You can sail off the island or you can fly off the island. Mm-hmm. That's it. So, so a lot of times we only fly off the island. So he has those letters and he will have everything he needs for at least 2 or 3 more worth time of to what he's traveling for.
Okay. But he can,
just in case. So
he can manage without a pump if he has to.
He can. So So he normally travels with obviously enough spare pumps, spare insulin. He'll also travel with Traceba just in case. He'll carry extra sensors. He will carry extra strips. His carry-on bag is insane. We actually switched from juice boxes to the little packages of gummy bears.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get just as many carbs. They don't explode in your emergency bag or in your backpack or,
space.
Yep. Well, you know what kids are like. They throw down their bag and it's like, they don't care. Next thing you know, you've got juice everywhere.
I have definitely thrown a juice box away before and thought like, this is moments away from bursting open. So
exactly. Yeah. So he switched to the gummy bears because it's the same number of carbs and he likes them. So I'm like, awesome. So he will travel with so much stuff that if he's going away for, say, like a 10-day trip, which is what this trip will be for his Duke of Edinburgh Gold Award, he will bring enough supplies with him for 30 days.
Wow. Okay, well, he should be ready.
Well, and it's also because when we go to a different country, we can't exactly just go into a regular pharmacy and say, this is what I need, because they have no idea, like they need an order from a physician.
Right. So, so if you really do get in trouble, there's nowhere for you to really go once you're off the island, really.
No, well, I mean, if you're in the U.S. or,
Do your scripts work? Like, can you use a script in the U.S. that you use in the Bahamas?
No,
Bermuda?
No, we can't. But it's like at least his insurance has got Teledoc, so he could call in there. Okay. We could go to an urgent care if we needed to. When we were in Athens last year, that one was a little bit more, it's like, where would we go? What language barrier would we have? And could we even get the same supplies? Because most of our medications here come from either Canada, the US, or the UK.
Yeah. Listen, I have to tell you, I think it's pretty great how travel and adventure is a word you used earlier, like is not being squelched at all by this diabetes thing. I think it's pretty cool.
No, and actually, oddly enough, the night that he was diagnosed with diabetes, that was his first question to me, was whether he could still do Duke of Edinburgh. Mm. And I'm like, well, why wouldn't you? Of course you can. You just need to bring your supplies with you.
Did you actually have any private moments where you thought, oh God, maybe he can't?
No. I knew that he could. I've seen kids do it before. I'm a scout leader. You just need to plan. Now, one of the award leaders for the award last year was like, do you want me to call you if there's an issue? And I'm like, no, only if there's a big issue. But otherwise, he has everything you need. You do not need to call me to tell me what his blood sugars are periodically, because during the journeys, all tracking devices have to be off. Like parents cannot know. They have to be completely cut off electronically from the rest of the world.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Do you think there's a world where if he was in a situation that he could not get it under control for some reason, do you think he would push through to his own detriment, or do you think that he would reach out for help if he needed it?
I think he would get to a point where he would reach out for help.
Okay, that's awesome.
Like he would reach out. Now, obviously, he's 16, so he hasn't entered the world of alcohol and how that affects blood sugars or anything like that yet. So,
you expecting that to happen?
I've actually and okay, so let's be upfront. The legal drinking age in Bermuda is 18.
Mm-hmm.
I have actually looked at him around the table and said, do you want to try a beer? He's like, do you want to try a drink? He's like, no, absolutely not. Mm-hmm. And so he's absolutely adamant. So we'll see what happens when he turns 18, whether he still has that same.
Yeah, he's still thinking the same way.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and, because that's the one thing that when they go off to school, and even if they're not of legal drinking age where they are, it's part of university culture in a lot of areas.
And will he go to the mainland for school, do you think?
Yeah, he's looking at schools in Canada. He did actually spend some time looking at schools in the Boston area this summer. He was not in love with any of them, unfortunately.
How smart is this kid? Is he looking at like McGill and stuff like that? What's he doing?
He's pretty smart when it comes to the sciences. Languages, no. But his sciences, like that's how his brain works.
Well, Catherine, I have to tell you, this has been a bit of an adventure on its
I
own,
know.
you and I, but I really
Yeah.
appreciate you taking the time to do it. I'm glad we got it recorded and we handled it. And
Yeah, I am so glad as well. It's like, this has been a great experience to talk to you. And I just hope that some of the things that we went through can help other people as they face their own challenges as well.
it is my finding that every conversation is valuable to somebody. So I'm sure that will be the case. Catherine, thank you so much. You really were delightful. I appreciate it.
No, I appreciate you so much.
The conversation you just heard was sponsored by Touched by Type 1. Check them out, please, at touchedbytype1.org on Instagram and Facebook. You're going to love them. I love them. They're helping so many people at touchedbytype1.org. The podcast episode that you just enjoyed was sponsored by Eversense CGM. They make the Eversense 365. That thing lasts a whole year. One insertion every year? Come on. You probably feel like I'm messing with you, but I'm not. EversenseCGM.com/juicebox. Head now to tandemdiabetes.com/juicebox and check out today's sponsor, Tandem Diabetes Care. I think you're going to find exactly what you're looking for at that link, including a way to sign up and get started with the Tandem Mobi system. Okay, well, here we are at the end of the episode. You're still with me? Thank you. I really do appreciate that. What else could you do for me? Why don't you tell a friend about the show or leave a 5-star review? Maybe you could make sure you're following or subscribed in your podcast app. Go to YouTube and follow me, or Instagram, TikTok. Oh gosh, here's one. Make sure you're following the podcast in the private Facebook group as well as the public Facebook page. You don't want to miss, please. Do you not know about the private group? You have to join the private group. As of this recording, it has 74,000 members. They're active, talking about diabetes. Whatever you need to know, there's a conversation happening in there right now. And I'm there all the time. Tag me. I'll say hi. Hey, I'm dropping in to tell you about a small change being made to the Juice Cruise 2026 schedule. This adjustment was made by Celebrity Cruise Lines, not by me. Anyway, we're still going out on the Celebrity Beyond cruise ship, which is awesome. Check out the walkthrough video at juiceboxpodcast.com/juicecruise. The ship is awesome. It's still a 7-night cruise. It still leaves out of Miami on June 21st. Actually, most of this is the same. We leave Miami June 21st, head to Coco Cay in the Bahamas, but then we're going to San Juan, Puerto Rico instead of St. Thomas. After that, Bastiere, I think I'm saying that wrong, St. Kitts and Nevis. This place is gorgeous. Google it. I mean, you're probably going to have to go to my link to get the correct spelling because my pronunciation is so bad. But once you get the St. Kitts and you Google it, you're going to look and see a photo that says to you, oh, I want to go there. Come meet other people living with type 1 diabetes, from caregivers to children to adults. Last year, we had 100 people on our cruise, and it was fabulous. You can see pictures again at my link, juiceboxpodcast.com/juicecruise. You can see those pictures from last year there. The link also gives you an opportunity to register for the cruise or to contact Suzanne from Cruise Planners. She takes care of all the logistics. I'm just excited that I might see you there. It's a beautiful event for families, for singles, a wonderful opportunity to meet people, swap stories, make friendships, and learn. Check out my algorithm pumping series to help you make sense of automated insulin delivery systems like Omnipod 5, Loop, Medtronic 780G, twiist, Tandem Control IQ, and much more. Each episode will dive into the setup, features, and real-world usage tips that can transform your daily type 1 diabetes management. We cut through the jargon, share personal experiences, and show you how these algorithms can simplify and streamline your care. If you're curious about automated insulin pumping, go find the Algorithm Pumping series in the Juicebox Podcast. Easiest way, juiceboxpodcast.com, and go up into the menu. Click on series, and it'll be right there. The Juicebox Podcast is edited by Wrong Way Recording. WrongWayRecording.com. If you'd like your podcast to sound as good as mine, check out Rob at WrongWayRecording.com.